Thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you for doing your part, for coming on in each and every day. We'll do the same, at least up until this point, without wasting a single second of your time. Bada bing, bada boom, we go into the charts, and boom indeed, Bitcoin flipped this 50,948. We've had this here. If you go back and roll the tape, we were talking about this range here from 2021 December. We said, can we flip this 50,948 into support and go higher? That is the question. And sure enough, we came down to that level, wicked off of it, and bang, we were up to the next node in the process. And this node over here is over here at this wick on the daily time frame at 54,618. The next node in the range here is up here at 57,178. These are some things to areas of interest to look left to see where you're going and where you could be sucked up to. But if we look in the liquidity, we can see what is the liquidity, you say? Well, people lock their liquidity into the charts to get burnt to crisp by the market maker for not using a stop loss, and we get to see where those crispy characters are, so let's do it now. So 97 million in short liquidity ripped off of the charts in the last 24 hours. In the last 12 hours, that was the 96 million. And you came back a little bit on some longs in the last 4 hours, but not too much, holding the range tightly as we decide to go higher or lower. Looking at the 3-day, we came down into the liquidity here at 51.1, and we did not go any lower. We were looking at the possibility of going slightly lower, because if you look at the higher time frame, you can see that there was $8.73 billion down in that 50,472. They left it alone unscathed and just ripped to the upside, ripping the shorts a new one. And it's been a year since I've been streaming, so I wanted to take a little bit of time, if you don't mind, to go over that year of reflection. I took my kids to Osaka the other day on my birthday, and we were getting a passport to go to America and everything. So yeah, basically I'm just a little bit, if I'm being honest, I'm slightly disappointed with the viewership here. You see there's 0 concurrent viewers, and the definition of insanity is to repeat the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and unfortunately there have been no results. Despite putting out accurate calls and predictions for the stream and for Bitcoin, there just was no interest generated in a year. So I'm going to have to call it a pause on the live. I think the order of things was different. Basically, you should establish a following and then do a consistent live stream. But until you develop that following, there's just no reason to go live. People just don't care. They're inundated with other people who rode the 2020 bull run up, and to where everything was booming, and even a 5-year-old could have got gains, and then they rode that clout to the next level. So it's a little bit hard to break through in that market. And I also think the YouTube algorithm only pushes you while you are live, and that's one issue with the live algorithm, is that it only pushes you out there into the world while you are live streaming. So if you're live streaming for 20 minutes, you have 20 minutes of exposure into the world of YouTube, and that's it. Whereas if you upload a pre-recorded video, it can get pushed on the algorithmic side of things, indefinitely. So I think we're going to have to switch over to a upload version rather than a live version of the stream, although I do love doing it. I appreciate everyone for coming on in. But I just thought I'd say that for this will be the year in reflection. But yeah, coming to this 54K level, let's go back into the liquidity and see what is in store. I even provided high block for free for over a year too, and just nobody seemed to care. Anyway, so it is what it is. No reason to be upset about it. It just is what it is. So there is some liquidity, high leverage people up into that 55.141. If we do come up for a double top or something, there is still the shorts up here taking cause, but overall you're getting exposed to the longs at some point. Do you pull back at all? It seems like the bullish narrative is inbound. One thing you need to be aware of, as usual, is looking at news. So you have some US news, some durable goods orders, whatever that means, but it's a high impact today. And you also have some CPI for the Australian dollar and some New Zealand stuff, and then GDP numbers on Wednesday, and then also you have the PMI on Thursday. So Thursday looks like it's going to be the big one. You have consumer price index, or the core price index, and unemployment claims alongside the PMI. So there should be some interesting midweek reversal news. So things might be holding the range until that time. Bitcoin surely wasn't. And do we start to push higher? All right. So the liquidity we already ascertained. We just destroyed all of the shorts. It's going to take a little bit of time for that to be reconciled, if you will. And if you look at here, you have billions of dollars in that sub 50k range. We just completely destroyed all of the shorts, so there is nothing left to take on the upside except the latest shorts that enter. Let's go ahead and take a look at the targets for the impulse and how you would have caught this move despite not having somebody plugged in to your ear. So if you have here on the 12-hour time frame, we were talking about calling for downside from up here. We were talking about coming lower potentially, but we also gave the target of that 50,000 zone, that 50,771 on this Binance chart, and we held it at the 706. So what could you have done? You could have drawn an impulse here, a retracement, if you will. You draw from wick to wick, boom, and with that wick we would have come down to the 706, which is a golden pocket area. You could also just switch this to golden pocket. We held on a 12-hour candle, the 618 at 51k, and boom, the rest is history. So if we look at this in more detail on a deeper analysis level, we came up to 2 deviations from this impulse. So we got a little bit of a pause at that 54.8 level, and are we going to kind of retrace back down, establish some range here as the people trim and take profits? And so the math does its mathiness, and you can also take this on the impulse retrace from here. If you just want to take this entire thing from this impulse here up to there, retrace down to here, basically getting above that 52.9 was the key for more upside. You have some other targets that we could basically be coming into if we continue higher. This is a massive run to the upside here, getting this possible 55. If we turn this to a deep retrace, there is a 786 in this region at 57. It also coincides with this high volume node from 2021, so it could be something to think about if we come higher. You have these resistance levels up here. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the USDT dominance. Okay, the USDT dominance coming down to the possibility of the 4.78 level. This is a daily level here that we've seen a lot of reactions off of. You have a high volume node down at that 464 region, so we could come down for that potential of take profit zone. Everything is inverse to Bitcoin, so as you come lower on USDT dominance, you have higher prices for the market. Bitcoin dominance also got a little bit of a bounce here. We're looking at that idea of this wick zone / daily reaction level. Also, the total, we were having these cross-up event of the 6-hour baseline to possibly come higher. We came up to that $2 trillion mark. We were breaking the $2 trillion level here at the total cryptocurrency, and we came to the 886 of this entire daily impulse to the downside from 2022 all the way down to July. So we're starting to reclaim some ground from that dip, that year of downside that we had. It's interesting to note, coming to the total 3, the altcoins, despite the altcoins being mostly Kickstarters and vapid and empty shells, still people like to trade them, and we still have a lot of wick wackiness in here, but holding this range ultimately at $500 billion, and then started to go higher up to the 2 level at $570 billion. Do we continue higher or not is the question. Looking at Dixie is the thing that could cause a little bit of ripple effect. We came to this equilibrium level and bounced off it. We were looking at the idea of possibly flipping and coming up into this region. Does this continue or not? Let's go ahead and throw on the momentum for the last time on the live. Let's see what is going on. Alright, so you got this cross down event of the baselines on the daily. We came up for the stop hunt, came back down to that equilibrium level of this candle here. Still holding the super trend on the daily time frame. We rejected off of this gap up here and this kind of imbalance in the volume here for Dixie. If we come into the lower time frames, we can see basically these high volume nodes that we're potentially trying to flip. Do we come into this level? There's still this cross down event of the 12-hour time frame. This is looking very much like it could break up into some of these levels up here. We saw a run down into this candle here. If you just take this in its entirety to the upside here and just look at this as a full pocket level, we came down into that deep retrace zone. Actually came down to the 706. The reason I put this in here was to just look at this candle on its own merit, on its own ground, because we haven't recovered. We recovered half of this vector here on the 12-hour. Alright, so looking at where the dollar wants to go, there's not a one-to-one anymore, but it could give pause for what this rise up here. We did a lot of damage. The damage has been done. We could come a little bit higher, but there's slightly more to the downside, so a retrace down to 54K at the bare minimum to take out the 100x, folks, would be the thing to think about. We did cross up on the 12-hour time frame. Are we going to see another 12-hour event? We were also talking about the money flow. Let's go through that analysis of what we were talking about. We were talking about the money flow disparity, and is this the rare case where the RSI comes down to it, or is it the general case where the money flows back in? So we were talking about this over here. You can roll the tape for that, but we were talking about this over here, this money flow coming beneath the RSI. You got hidden bullish divergence, and when this disparity between the RSI and the money flow is apparent, then generally you have the money flow back up to the RSI, and sure enough that did. And this was on the 12-hour time frame, and we were also watching this on the 6. So we were saying that this potential of this coming back down does not necessarily mean that we will, unless we can break that 50,000 level, that support structure, then you could be getting some insertion of money to the upside, and watch out for your shorts. All right, so going to the hourly time frame where we're at right now, let's just see what's going on, what's cracking on the momentum here. Starting to fail the baselines here. You're at the end of a key sequence of rising up here. So you came up in a manner here to possibly fatigue out, or at least go sideways like so. Do you hold the range and then bang up to the upside? You have another gap down here that you could be coming back into. So coming down into this level at 53,940. 53,940 also has basically clears that entire high volume node. If we go into the daily, you can see that more apparently. There's a lot of high leverage people down here that they could easily come down to. You got stuff all the way down to 52.4 and more, but do they leave this unscathed or come up for a double top? Chances are they do come back. This is Tuesday. You got the high impact news. I'd expect after a move like this, you go sideways at least for a little bit, consolidate some more, start to get the people trimming their profits from the reaccumulation down here. But the scale in which we shot up here, a staggering 7% in a matter of hours, they could be doing a second leg as well. All right, let's go see if you guys have any analysis. I'm not going to make a prediction after the move has already played out. We're just going to see where it goes from here, and we'll keep you posted off stream in the Discord. These cross up events have you at hello anyway, so the cross downs and the cross ups are pretty darn leading, if I do say so myself. So let's go ahead and take a look. Anyone got anything? Think BTC could retrace from here? Yes, I do, Garadis. At least into some of these gaps. This could be a breakaway, so I wouldn't necessarily expect it to come down to 52K if it intends to be bullish. If you look here, the net shorts were obliterated. You see a bunch of liquidations here, aggregated liquidations, and you see a bunch of volume entering, delta, positive delta. You also have net longs increasing. So coming back on some of the longs, getting them to close, similar to what they did here, and then they got a bunch of shorts to open, and then they went sideways. So just take a look at this. So we went kind of down from 52.4 all the way down to 50,006, increasing a bunch of shorts, but not following through with the move. The longs kind of got stopped out, and then they came back on the shorts and just punished them. Boom. So now all the shorts are punished. It's in a negative position. So coming back a little bit into the longs, at least ever so slight, would make sense. Even retesting that 52.9 would not be strange. Coming back to test this high and flip it into support at 52.9. So basically coming down possibly to here to flip it would be the draw if it made sense, coming back to that 618 deviation level from this impulse. So we're gonna put more content out. We're never gonna stop putting out the content, and we're going to basically remove ourselves from the live algorithm and put ourselves into the pre-recorded one, because I think that algorithm gets more amplification, if you will. But that's our story, and we're sticking to it. So do we see a little bit of a retrace going into Tuesday, leading into the Wednesday, Thursday news? We could just hold this range and create a bunch of range bound, you know, stuff until Thursday. Really, we got the biggest news coming on Thursday. This was false move Monday. They got the idea of the short percolating, and then they ripped it off the golden pocket deep retrace level of the 706, bang, to the upside. All right, ladies and gents, it was a nice 1 year of live streaming dedication. It's very easy to dedicate a year of my time. I'm happy to do it even in the future. It just, there isn't a demand right now, clearly. I mean, only 2 people watching after a year is just, you know, gotta change something. So that's what we're doing. But I appreciate your time, and I thank you for coming on into the live and sharing your essence with me in this eternal moment of which we all share an inextricable and inexorable part. Thank you once again for coming on in, and we will catch you on the